What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going through 5 of the best gameplay changes that are happening for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and I'm actually going to be ranking these from 5th to 1st in order of what I think are the best changes for the game. I'm sure by now everyone has seen the recent trailer that was around 6 minutes long, where they kind of just went through a lot of the gameplay elements and sort of talked about what was new and what was changing, and there were a lot of changes in that trailer. The gameplay looks completely different than pretty much any of the other LEGO Star Wars games that we've played before, and so I do think this game is going to be very, very different from all of those previous games, even The Force Awakens, which was obviously very different in itself. And so yeah, I thought it would be fun to go through my top 5 for what I think are the best gameplay changes. Before we get into it, if you guys are new to the channel, then definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. There's going to be plenty of LEGO Star Wars content on the way throughout the rest of the year, but with that being said, let's get stuck right into it. So coming in at the number 5 spot for me is the changes that they've made to the combo chains within the melee combat of LEGO Star Wars. Obviously in the past there has always been some level of a combo system. If you essentially spam the button, then it will do, a certain amount of little combos, but what we saw in the trailer shows that they've really gone in depth with that, and to me, watching the trailer, it actually looked really similar to the Spider-Man combos. There was one part where I think it was Poe was actually punching a stormtrooper, and he actually was like hitting him up into the air and then actually jumping up and punching him again. And yeah, I got mad Spider-Man vibes from that. So I'm very interested to see how that turns out. I think it could be really good for the game to have that sort of Spider-Man like beat 'em up type of system within a LEGO Star Wars. And considering some characters will just use their hands and then obviously some will use lightsabers, I think there will be quite a bit of difference there as well. So I'm very keen to see how the combos work, and it does look like they are very much upgraded from previous games. Moving on to number 4, we have the ability to influence NPCs within the game. And for those who don't know, NPC stands for non-playable character. We see a clip here of Obi-Wan actually sort of influencing this Bantha, and he actually distracts him and makes the stormtroopers sort of jump around and, party with the Bantha. And although that doesn't really seem significant in that exact scene, I think that's actually going to open up a whole new world of how you can play this game. Obviously, most LEGO games are the type of game where you kind of just go running in, guns blazing, and pretty much just take out a bunch of enemies, but there is now the opportunity that you can actually do like stealthy type of missions. For example, maybe in that exact scene that we see of Obi-Wan, maybe you can actually distract those stormtroopers and actually get into that little hangar bay without them seeing you. So like I said, it probably seemed a little bit insignificant in the actual clip that we saw, but I really do think this is going to open up a whole new way to play the game, and it will probably add a lot to the replayability as well. Maybe on your first playthrough you want to play and just run in guns blazing, but then the second playthrough maybe you want to go through and take it a bit more like tactically and stealthy. So I definitely think that is a very awesome change for the upcoming game. Moving on to number 3, we have the open world elements to the game. Obviously, all of the LEGO Star Wars games in the past have had some level of open worldness to them. The Force Awakens did have, in between missions you could kind of run around the planet that you were on, and then even in the, the complete saga back in the day, you could run around Mos Eisley Cantina and you could get outside and stuff like that. So there's always been a little bit of open world sort of element to the game, but it seems like now you're going to be essentially able to travel wherever you want, whichever planet in the game, and it appears you're going to just be able to run around and explore the planet on its own without having to do any missions or anything like that, or you can just do little side missions or even just the main missions in the game. So I think that's an awesome change. It's going to be so much fun to just, explore around on each planet and see how good all the landscapes look. There's bits in the trailer where you can see Luke in his speeder like going past Jabba's palace and stuff, and it looks absolutely amazing. I know that it is LEGO graphics, but it looks genuinely as good as any game that I've really seen before in terms of the landscape design. And so yeah, I think the open world element again is going to add a lot to the replayability, and for me personally that is probably the area of this game that I'm the most excited for, to just jump on, explore around the map, maybe do a stream and you guys are jumping in telling me where to go and we just go and look at a bunch of stuff. So very keen to see how that plays out, and by the looks of everything in the trailer it is going to be very in depth. Now moving on to number 2, we have the skill trees within the game, and this is absolutely massive again for the replayability, but also just for the fun factor. The ability to kind of craft your own characters around how you want to play the game rather than them essentially all just having the same thing. That's going to make your playthrough a lot different than my playthrough, and I think that is a really good thing for any game really, when you provide people with a bunch of different ways to play the game. So once again, I think that is an absolutely enormous change for LEGO Star Wars. From what we saw in that last trailer, it really does look like this is actually turning into like a LEGO Star Wars RPG type of game, where you're going to kind of be able to craft each different character, or it's actually not each individual character, but it's the sort of like the classes of each character. You're going to be able to craft them to how you want them to be, and that is a staple of any good RPG out there. So the fact that a game like LEGO Star Wars is, evolving in that way. That is absolutely awesome to see, and I cannot wait to get stuck into unlocking all of those different skill trees for each class. Now, lastly, coming in at the number 1 spot, which is obviously the most important, or I guess the best gameplay change for me personally, and this is the look of the improved gunplay. Obviously, way back in the, the Complete Saga and all of those older games, there was essentially no gunplay. It was just wherever you're aiming, you just shoot, and it had some level of like lock onto the enemies. But in The Force Awakens, obviously, we did get a bit of an upgrade there, and it sort of implemented what we can see in the trailer for the Skywalker Saga, but it definitely looks a lot more upgraded in this, and it looks like you can essentially just sort of enter that like proper gunplay type of mode whenever you want, rather than only doing it when you're behind cover, for example. To be honest, the gunplay in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens is probably one of my biggest issues with the game. The overall, feeling of the game was so much fun. It was such a great game, but the gunplay in that game was definitely a little bit janky, and it kind of made a lot of missions like kind of tough because it didn't feel like it worked as intended, to be honest. And so I'm very keen to see how the gunplay feels in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. It does still look a tiny little bit janky, if I'm going to be honest, but they did put a big emphasis on, the improved gunplay. So I'm going to wait to play it. It does look like it has potential to be really, really solid. And if it is, then I think this is going to be an absolute game changer for the game. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. I'm very keen to hear what you guys think of the list that I had here. So definitely leave your thoughts down in the comments, not only on the order of my list and what I had in my list, but definitely feel free to leave your own list down below. What is the most important and, most exciting element of the trailers so far? Leave those thoughts down below, because I'm definitely very keen to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you guys are new to the channel, then definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. There's going to be plenty more LEGO Star Wars content on the way in 2022, so make sure you don't miss out. If you want to support the content that I make here on YouTube, then do consider supporting the channel over on Patreon. The links to that are down in the description. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.